Hey, what is up everybody? This is JP representing jpfitnesspro.com. I'm currently offering one-on-one training, online training, small group training, and nutrition meal plans. Please head on over to my website, jpfitnesspro.com. That is the easiest way to contact me, or you can reach out to me at any of my social media platforms, and all those are linked in the description. All right, today's video is going to be about one tip that can help you get stronger. This is a very easy tip. It's not really similar to my stability tip that I gave you guys before, but it kind of is in that same realm, but it's just a little bit different, and it's a lot more specific. So this will help increase stability, but it's a very specific thing that you can do to increase stability, and that is to any weight that you're using. And well, I want to preface this with the fact that this is specifically for strength. If your goal is strictly hypertrophy, depending on the context and the exercise, this may actually not hurt your hypertrophic gains, but this may affect the exercise that you're doing and kind of, I don't want to say take out the prime mover, but this tip may hinder the specific goal you're trying to work if your main goal is hypertrophy. But if your main goal is strength, one tip that I recommend you do for almost every single exercise is grip the bar or the weight that you are using as hard as you can. So today I'm going to show you using a deadlift, but this could be a deadlift, it could be a bent over row, it could be a bench press, it could be anything that's strength based, where your goal is to move numbers. Your goal is ultimately to get as strong as you can. So if your goal is strength with that exercise, I recommend you grip the bar as hard as you can. Now, a good example of this, and I want to give you guys kind of like a thing you can try on yourself, something that you can do on yourself to kind of show that this actually works, is that I always tell people to try to flex their arm. And what I mean by that is I want you to flex your arm, but I want you to flex your arm and keep your wrist limp while you're flexing your arm. And I mean, make it completely limp. I want your hand and your wrist just to be completely disengaged. You want it to just drop. You want no flexion in your wrist or your hand whatsoever. But at the same time, I want you to try to flex your bicep as hard as you can. Do it as hard as you can. Remember, keep your wrist limp just as hard as you can do it. And then kind of keep a mental note of how hard you're actually flexing your bicep. Now I want you to take a brief pause, and then I want you to squeeze your hand as hard as you can. You can just grip your hand as hard as you can do it, and then squeeze your bicep as hard as you can. You might be able to notice this, and I can notice this immediately, is that I feel like I can get a stronger contraction in my bicep, and I feel overall more stable when I'm gripping my hand. When I have my wrist limp, it's kind of like awkward. It feels awkward to get a strong contraction on my bicep. So what this does is gripping the resistance you're using as hard as you can is going to cause like a synergistic effect. It's going to basically make it so that if you're rigid in one muscle group, it's easier to get rigid in all muscle groups. If you have one muscle rigid and one muscle very loose and not as tight, it can kind of affect surrounding musculature. Again, if you do that little example I was trying to show you, it's kind of, it's a little bit, it makes it awkward to get a really good contraction in your biceps for, with the limp wrist. And again, some of you might say, well, if my goal is to take the wrist out of the equation and take the forearm out of the equation, and to primarily target the biceps, that's my goal. Well, that's a hypertrophy goal. So again, in that sense, I recommend you might not want to do this tip. But if your main goal is strength and heavy compound movements, I recommend gripping the bar as hard as possible. So when you're doing your setup, instead of just coming down and gripping the bar real loosely, I want you to squeeze the bar as hard as you possibly can before you do your lift. All right, if you guys have any questions, comments, please post them down below. I'll see you guys in the next video.